Hi everyone, welcome to the 11th episode of Never Over the Hill. We are back. We took last week off and we're back with Meghan Elliot.
Hello.
She is my gorgeous friend, and actually I've been taking an exercise class with her recently, which has basically changed my life. And she also has a long career in fashion, and I am going to pass the mic over to you so that you can introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about what you used to do, how you got started, and the shift and pivot that you've made.
Sure. Thank you. Well, thank you for that introduction. Hi, everybody. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
This is such a treat for me in the middle of the day. I'm not usually wearing jeans because at the moment, so I'm a yoga and rebounding instructor. I have a private studio in Locust Valley where I run my classes from. My company is called Lagom, which is a Swedish word that means basically like it literally translates into not too little, not too much, but just enough. So it's all about like this is the Swedish kind of way of living and trying to achieve balance and harmony in all aspects of life.
I love that.
So yeah, and my husband is Swedish, so I kind of thought that we would have a nice little umbrella here. Because a lot of what I'm trying to do with my business is doing more of like the upbeat, high impact, really fun, joyful workouts, and then at the same time having some restorative, some balance of the yoga part as well, and meditation and all of that. So I have I've had the studio for about a year and a half now in town, and I've been teaching yoga. I've been practicing yoga for over 25 years, but I finally made it official in 2021 during COVID when I sort of had a lot of time on my hands and decided that yoga has been such an instrumental part of my life and in helping me heal from a lot of kind of past traumas and wounds and just creating a lot of meaning and joy in my life. So I felt like it was my job to pay that forward. And so over COVID, I got my teacher certification and I have been teaching ever since. And it's been kind of a wild and fun journey into a lot of unexpected territory, which I'm extremely grateful for. So as Hilary mentioned, prior to becoming a yoga teacher, I was working for Christian Louboutin. I was running global communications for the women's shoes in Paris. I had started working for Louboutin in New York, where I was also doing global communications. I was in charge of the markets in, the Asia Pacific markets. And
Did
then
you travel there?
I traveled there, yes. So I was doing a lot of traveling. I traveled with Christian himself quite a lot, which was an incredible experience. And so I was either on a plane to somewhere in Asia, like Tokyo or Vietnam or Hong Kong, or in France for, I'd say, about 2.5 years when I was working for him in New York.
That's so cool.
And then Christian wound up asking me to come to Paris, and I headed up global communications for the women's shoes there, which is where I stayed for a while until I decided to come back to New York in March 2020 to be here for the birth of my first niece. And had plans to do a lot of like consulting for luxury brands when I came back, and that kind of all just...
We all know what happened then.
Yes. Yeah.
That actually is crazy. I have the chills right now because I did not know that you came back in March 2020.
Yeah.
I was getting on a plane to go to Paris in March 2020 on the night that basically the country shut down, and I'd never been to Paris. So you must have been on the plane home, and I was going, and we didn't end up going.
And now you are.
I'm going for the second time in a few weeks, but
so
I went last
exciting.
March finally. We were trying to go for my husband's birthday. So anyway, but that's so crazy that you were coming home and I was going. And also, I feel like our paths have crossed in many ways before, but we've never met until recently, because I worked for Diane von Furstenberg, who is very close with
we're very
Christian.
good friends.
Yes. So anyway, so you really had a major shift in your life.
Yeah.
And so going back, I'm just going to ask you the first question. Did growing up, did style and fashion play a part in your career choice?
Not as much in my career choice as it did in my own kind of personal life. I grew up on Long Island, and I kind of grew up in a world of like pop colors and pastels and plaids, and I like always felt kind of out of place because in my mind I only saw myself wearing like a pair of skinny jeans, stilettos, a tank top, and like a beautifully tailored blazer with like some shoulder pads because I love a good shoulder pad. And I just like never really fit. Like I got it. I had the plaid pants and like all of that, and
like you fit in.
Very
you
preppy.
Tried to fit in with that, but that didn't feel like you.
And I kind of like just made it work.
Right.
But then I went to college, and I went to Fordham University, which was I was in the Bronx because I was studying at business school. And then my world really opened up in a lot of different ways. I spent a lot of time in the city. And my freshman year, I started modeling. So kind of going back to this like different kind of style world that I had grown up with, I was working at Abercrombie & Fitch at the time.
Oh my God, so crazy.
In South Street Seaport.
Oh, yeah. I remember that one.
Do you remember that one?
Yes.
Yeah, on the corner. Which I think Sandy just like completely annihilated. But I was working there, and I was scouted to actually do some modeling for Abercrombie. I did like some videos and
did you have a weird experience with that, or
I did not.
Okay.
No, I had a lot of weird experiences moving forward from there, but not that one.
Right. I love those catalogs. I was obsessed with them.
I know.
Like they were like my Bible.
Me too. Even though like I had to sneak them because my mom was not letting me look at those.
Yeah.
Even just working there, my mom was really not happy with me working there. But
I was already old enough. I was like out of the house by that point. So
yeah.
I was just like, this is so like, it was very inappropriate, but also like,
but kind of freeing and liberating.
Totally.
And I don't know. I think this was also kind of where I feel a little more European in the way that I am, and as I was like growing up, I feeling like this kind of outsider in the world that I was supposed to feel really connected to, and that I had grown up in. Having gone to Europe, and I've spent a lot of time in Europe, and Paris in particular, like always feels so much more like home.
Right.
Which is why when I was living there, it was such a beautiful moment in my life.
Right.
And so we had asked about this kind of like pivot moment. So just going back a little bit more with that, I was in the fashion industry for a little bit prior to working at Louboutin. I lived in London for a while, and I was working for Nadia Swarovski there in her
That's
office.
another connection, though, because Diane von Furstenberg was friends with her, too, and the staircase in our new office was all crystals.
You had the crystals.
Yes.
Yes, I remember that.
So you were, but let's go back to, so you were scouted, you were working at Abercrombie, then you started modeling. So basically, like, you were into clothes, but the modeling thing came into your lap, and you were like, let me go with this.
Yeah, and it kind of helped me broaden my horizons, I think, in a lot of ways. It was really kind of like my first exposure to so many different kinds of people and creativity, and like I'll never forget going to my first shoot for Abercrombie, which was in it was like Key Isla Morada in the Florida Keys, and we were staying in this palm tree plantation, and our stylist was this incredibly like magnificent gay man who was wearing like these little cut off like Daisy Duke jean shorts, and I had never seen that before, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I feel like I belong. Like I feel as though what I had felt for so long with wanting to be a little more different and to be a little more independent from how I'd grown up, like that was validated. And it just kind of like ignited such a spark within me. And so I modeled for a while in college, had some like not so great experiences with that. And also my parents were not so happy with me modeling when I'm in business school and I should be focusing on that. So I had a few interactions that really kind of dissuaded me from pursuing like a modeling career. I kind of, it was fun.
But did it get you into whatever you were doing next?
It actually took me away from what I did next in a funny way. So I sort of had a moment where I was going to business school and I really wanted to use my brain, and not that I wasn't using my brain, it's just a different sort of kind of way of using it. But I actually started going more into like real business, and I loved advertising and marketing. And so my first job outside of school was at Madison Square Garden in the sponsorship department of like the advertising sales division. So I was working like with a bunch of suits and a very like male dominated profession. And so I kind of like went into this like J. Crew like pinstripe suits and all of that, and which felt okay. But at the time I was just kind of like happy and excited to have this really fun job where I was like Madison Square Garden and Radio City were my playgrounds. And
how old were you?
That was right out of college. So it was like 2021. 21, 22.
Right.
And so I worked at MSG for, I think, maybe like 2-3 years. And then someone from the marketing and events team at CBS Entertainment contacted me and kind of they brought me over to CBS. And so I was doing events and marketing for CBS around like Super Bowl, Final Four, like all of the sporting events that they had. So I went more in like the entertainment, sports direction.
But they're all connected. Like it's all connected, you know?
Yes. Transferable skill sets was like my keyword.
Yes. Actually, okay, so that is going to lead me into my next question. Keywords. Do you have a name for your style?
I've been thinking about those because I've listened to the podcast, the previous podcasts, and I've yet to come up with one, but I know that Paris has had a big influence on me, and the French way of dressing and living in terms of like investing in really good pieces, quality, and taking care of what you have. Simplicity with just like a little touch of something else, I think.
Yes.
Like this, what I'm wearing right now is kind of like what I go to.
Yes. So like three words, if you could.
I would say maybe Parisian, elegance, simplicity. There's a little bit of a twist in there as well. I don't know. I always like Princess Diana was my style icon growing up.
Love
like,
her.
I love a good cigarette pant and like a nice loafer, or even just when she was wearing like her leggings and the big sweatshirts. I mean, she always just looked so beautiful and effortless. So I try to make things look a little bit effortless as well. Like I don't take it too seriously. It's a lot of it is just like what feels good for me in the moment. And at the moment, as I'm wearing like leggings all the time and tank tops, it's actually really, really fun to break out a little bit. Like
I know.
Today feels like such a treat.
When you walked in this morning, so like normally, so I've been taking Megan's rebounding class, and the first class, I think it was about a month ago, and it's on a little trampoline, and we do all these moves, and it's just so uplifting, literally and figuratively. So she's always in leggings when I see her, and she walked in today and I was like, whoa, you look so good. Not that she looks good in the class, but it's just like when you get to put on what you feel is your look, is like what you look best in, you can tell. It's just like, you know, apparent that like this is what you feel the best in. And she had a blazer on too with the shoulders, but you have really good shoulders, like in general.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Okay, so do you have a daily uniform?
Well, right now,
besides your leggings,
my daily uniform is like Lululemon leggings and tank tops. And yeah, that's what I wear on a day-to-day basis. But I would say if I was not wearing that, typically this would be how I dress. Like I love a good pair of like loafers
I love
or
those,
like
actually.
little kitten heels. I love like Levi's 501s
Yep.
and redone. Like those are kind of the go-to jeans that I have. And then like either a nice like tank top or a like cashmere sweater, and then a really nice blazer on top. Like
Yep.
I have this beautiful vintage YSL blazer that's like herringbone that I got in Paris at a vintage store.
I love it.
I've just had it like relined, and just I'm doing the best I can to take care of it, because it just, that kind of makes me, when I put that on, it's like you step into your power in
Yes.
a way.
I
and the
fully
same
agree.
thing with like Veronica Beard blazers. Also, like I feel as though you know, they design for this woman who like, we're so versatile and we're so
Yes.
multifaceted, and when you put a beautiful, or when I put a beautiful jacket on, it's like, this is me
Yep.
showing myself into the
Exactly.
world. And so, yeah, so that's kind of like, that would be the daily uniform.
Okay.
Before, I mean, when I was working in fashion, my daily uniform changed every day based on how I was feeling, pretty much, I would say. And
Yeah.
and working for a company like Christian Louboutin, we were able to express ourselves well. Like, it wasn't this, like, you know, kind of like uniformed, like, you're a
Yes.
fashion girl, this
Yes.
is what you wear.
Right.
Like, it was really encouraged to just be yourself. So we worked with people who had like tattoos all over, and, you know, just like very, very, very different kinds of ways of expressing themselves. And it's so
Refreshing.
inspiring and
Oh, yeah, and
beautiful.
yes.
Yeah. And it really also helped to push me to kind of like dig deep and like get into like a different side of myself, like something a little more provocative sometimes.
Yes.
Like, I used to love wearing like a silk slip dress with a beautiful like belt and like a black leather biker jacket.
Yeah.
And then like the accessories were kind of all there,
Right.
always there.
Yeah.
So having a cool shoe and bag
Yes.
just like amplifies.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like fashion, working in fashion or any fashion adjacent kind of creative field, it's like, I think a lot of people end up going into these fields because they just want to be who they are.
Yeah.
And really, as sometimes I would feel like, you know, I was getting looked at or I was getting judged or whatever for being dressed a certain way, like, but as much as fashion can be like exclusive and like exclusionary, it also is very inclusive at the same time. So it's like, there's that. And I love that aspect of like, you know, you really can be, I definitely feel like knowing that I could dress however I wanted to was a big draw for me of like working for a fashion stylist, having my own business, doing like, you know, it's just like a good, another aspect of like why, you know, why working in fashion is like,
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that there is this like general sort of notion for those outside of the industry that it's very exclusive, it's very snobby, it's very like cutthroat and kind of mean.
Yeah.
And
there can be that side.
There is
but there's
that
a
side.
lot of like warmth and love for accepting everybody for who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find it like, I feel like it's such a gift to have been able to have really experienced that.
Same, totally. Okay, so tell me about your most memorable style, outfit, or memory. And you and I had actually
so
talked about
many
this.
of
Okay,
these,
but
yeah.
there's one that you told me about that totally stands out to me, and I hope you talk about it
My
right now.
Chloe dress.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll go into that one.
Okay.
So I like, there are so many, but thank you for helping me kind of like section that out.
Yeah.
But I have this gorgeous Chloe dress. It's it kind of hits like mid thigh, and
Meghan has a really amazing leg. Let's just
And so it's like kind of like an eggshell color, and the back is all crochet. So it's open, it's like a crochet back, and it has pockets. But I do have this one memory. It was summer in the city, and I just finished work, and I was meeting one of my girlfriends downtown for dinner, and I mean, it was summer, so my hair was light, and I was really tan and wearing this like beautiful Chloe dress. I think I was wearing like Louboutin sandals at the time, and I got off in Soho, off the subway in Soho, and I'm walking to the restaurant where I was meeting my girlfriend for dinner, and I'm crossing the street, and all of a sudden I hear my name, and I turn around, and it was like one of those moments, and I really don't have this very often because I'm kind of quite shy. But I just like kind of turned around, and my hair was really long, and it just like moved in the most perfect way. And I saw this guy I used to date when I was in college and on the bicycle. And it was just this moment of like, wow, I feel so like radiant, and I'm so glad that somebody I know saw me like,
totally.
looking like this,
especially
and
a guy that you dated.
Yeah. I know. Oh, hi.
I actually, this memory makes me happy, even though I was not there. And I'm like picturing it like caught on camera in like an Elle magazine shoot. You know, like you're like running like mid-step like across the street, and like the crosswalk is in the like sun is setting. I don't know. Anyway, I have the picture.
Yeah, it was like one of those moments you wish you just had in slow-mo.
Yes,
like
totally.
That.
Yeah.
So that and definitely like that dress just kind of made me feel so powerful and beautiful too, which is like the beauty and the magic of fashion, I think. So there's another memory that I really love also, and it's my wedding day. So my husband and I actually got married in like the Queen's like county court. So it was a very simple, small ceremony.
Elegant,
it was like
Parisian.
The two of us, and it was a little bit more like French in how we did that, and two of our friends. And I had this Alexander McQueen gown that was white. I love like a good turtleneck, or it was kind of like a mock neck.
Okay.
And it was cut like kind of
like a halter,
type. And it's backless, and it was a mermaid tail. And it just, I mean, it just kind of, I have it.
I feel like we need a picture of this too.
I partially want to dye it because it's just so beautiful. The silhouette is so gorgeous.
What color would you dye? I feel like you should dye it like a beautiful like lavender orchid color.
That's nice. That's a good one. Yeah.
I feel like that would look amazing on you. No, but it's actually funny because the last question I ask is, what look will you never be over? And I'm feeling like that you may have answered that question.
Yeah.
But we'll go back to that. Okay, so you have told me about good style memory and memories. Tell me if you remember like a traumatic style memory or a look that you were like, why did I ever wear that?
Oh yeah, when I was younger and very confused about like who I was and what I wanted to wear, I remember being obsessed with palazzo pants. Do you remember those?
Yes.
And like that, I don't even remember how old I was. Maybe it was like 12 or 13. But this was the time where I started like really realizing what I was wearing. Before that, I think my mom would always just pick out my clothes. And I went to Catholic school too, so I was always in uniforms. And we had a summer of family weddings, and my mom took me, I think it was like to, must have been like maybe Macy's and like Roosevelt Field Mall or somewhere. And I got these like light pink with white polka dot palazzo pants with a blouse that had ruffles like all over it, and a vest like that was floral.
Okay.
And this was like my outfit.
But did you love it?
I loved it.
Okay.
And now I look back, I'm like, how on earth could I have ever worn that? That looks awful.
I'm thinking I can picture this look 100%, but it's also like what I've said to everyone else that's had a memory like this is like, it was in style then.
Yeah, I guess
as bad as it might have been, you know, like,
it was. I think I just had no idea, and this was the
But
first
did you look good? Like, you thought you looked good? You were I
was really proud of it. Yeah. So I guess in terms of like this awful, like horrific moment, I didn't have it then. I have it when I look back at those pictures.
Totally. I know.
And I guess like just really feeling when I was younger, feeling like I was listening to the beat of a different drummer and trying to fit where I had come from. So it was a little bit awkward and clunky, and you know, going through those like pre-teenage years where your body's growing. Like I was like this tall when I was like 13.
Were you?
I think. Yeah. And I just had like long arms and legs, and I didn't know what to do with them. And I tried to wear what everybody else was wearing, which at the time were like skirts. Do you remember skirts?
Yes.
Like that too. We
Yeah.
can just rest in peace on those.
God. Yeah, I totally remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever wore a skirt, but I definitely wore palazzo pants. I definitely wore like culottes and capri pants and stirrup
capri
pants
Yeah.
and full spandex bodysuit. Like, I'm older than you, so I was like a kid in the 80s, and there were a lot of really, really bad looks in the 80s. I feel like the 90s, there were bad looks in the 90s too.
But I also love stirrups, by the way. Like,
Yes.
love.
If
I
you're
love a
like
good stirrup
going for
pant.
like an equestrian, or even like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen a good stirrup pant in years.
We should try to find them.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay, so let's see. We got through. Okay. Two things. What is your most versatile piece in your wardrobe?
That's a good question. I would say my herringbone vintage YSL blazer,
Okay.
and I have a really beautiful silk slip dress that is from Mesdemoiselles in Paris, and that has really helped me out in a lot of, like, when I have to go to dinner or I have to go to a party or whatever it is. I love like black silk slip dresses because you can dress them up or down. So I'd say those two.
Okay, cool. Do you ever wear them together? Or is it like a different?
I have not. The herringbone and the YSL is like browns.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't mixed the two of them together, but you never know.
Yeah.
It might surprise you
It
someday.
could be a cool look with like a brown boot or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then when you need to feel your best, like when you're going to a crazy like special event or something, what is your go-to look?
A body-hugging backless dress.
Of any,
I would say like Stella McCartney
Okay.
comes to mind. There's one from years ago that she made. I think it was like a burgundy that I loved. And when I had this like kind of pivot moment in my life where I was just gonna like move to Mexico, and I like gave all so much away.
But you still have the Chloe dress.
I still have
and
the
you're going to
Chloe
wear
dress.
it this
I could
summer.
never let go of the Chloe
We're going to
dress,
recreate
yeah.
the moment. So yeah, and so that probably is because like you're highlighting a part of you that you love and that you feel like really powerful in.
Yeah,
strong.
I love a good backless dress. And I mean I like the silhouette of something that is a little bit more form fitting for me is really nice with like a slit in it too.
Nice.
Maybe.
Show off the legs.
Yeah.
One thing that I said to Megan when I started doing the classes was like, I want my legs to get like your legs. And you were like,
God.
it's from jumping. Like
Yeah.
it's from,
Yeah.
So because you have this, the past with Christian Louboutin, I wanted to ask you a specific question, which is, tell me about 3 of your favorite shoes that you either had or have, or when you worked there, like what were they?
Yeah.
In the collection.
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. This is one I was not prepared for.
Okay, good.
No, this is great. I would say I had a pair of red patent leather thigh-high boots.
Oh my God.
That were amazing. It was part of like the collection that came out. He did a collaboration with David Lynch, and the pictures from that collection were incredible. And it was basically like a good part of the collection was shoes that were meant to be in bed with rather than actually walking.
Yes.
But these I could walk in, and they were
heels?
They were heels.
Yeah.
They were like a So-Kate Last, and they just were like incredible. So I wore those with like I remember one moment I wore that with like a really beautiful long Donna Karan, like again form-fitting backless dress to like a masquerade party in the city.
Oh my God.
That was pretty killer.
Sounds amazing.
And then let's see, a good So-Kate shoe. So-Kate, it's one of the styles that he makes it's like a classic pump.
Okay.
So that in black is just perfect to go anywhere.
Is it a pointy toe?
It's pointy.
Yeah, I think
and
I
it
have.
has like a smaller vamp, so you can kind of see a little toe
cleavage. Yes. Okay, that was a thing. No, I know, but
weird,
no. I remember that.
And then let's see.
In
I mean,
black
there's so
suede,
many.
black leather,
Black patent.
black patent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then one more. That's so hard. I have really cool heels also with these. It was part of this like Mexicana collection where they're all. I don't know how many, but they're hand beaded, hand sewn beads in these shoes, and it's like a really cool kind of like Mexican print. And they have the heel, it kind of goes inwards a little bit, so it has like a little silhouette to it,
Right.
and it's just great. It's a really fun piece, so if I'm ever kind of this
Yes.
is like my staple day,
Right.
you throw those on
Yes.
and you can go into the evening.
Yep. I feel like that is something that I've heard a lot on the pod and that I feel the same way about. It's like I'm a jeans and t-shirt girl, and that's why I make the Chica jackets, like, or the Ragazza or whatever, a jacket, because it's like you put that on as almost like an accessory with this plain t-shirt and jeans, and you're like, it just adds something. So, okay, so we're going to go to our last question, which is, what look will you never be over? And if it's not the wedding dress, you can tell me another look.
It could, well, it also could be the Chloe dress too.
Okay.
That I love so much, and it's really grown with me through the years as well. And yeah, let's just stay with that. Yeah, I think that those are two really good ones.
Okay, I'm hoping we can get photos of you in these looks, because
I'll
it's
try to
such a
find
like
them.
I'm such a visual person that like I want the audience to see.
Yeah.
I have it pictured in my head, but anyway. Okay, so to close things out today, I'm going to ask you the 3 questions that I've been asking everybody at the end. One is, what is the first thing you do in the morning?
I snuggle with my dog and my husband.
Oh, it's so sweet. Do you get up early?
Yes, we get up at 5 a.m.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, but I'm an early morning.
Okay.
Like, as I get older, not as much, but I used to be like a really annoying early morning person for people who are not so awake in the mornings. But I used to love it when I was living in the city, because I'd go to like 5:30 a.m. classes and the city is dead, and
quiet,
it was this like gorgeous like moment where I felt like I was in on this little secret.
Yeah, I wish that I was a morning person for that very reason, because I love being the first person to be awake.
Yeah.
But I love to sleep in the morning, and anyway. Okay, what is the last thing you do before you go to bed?
So I'll either read or I'll journal a little bit, or lately I've been really enjoying laughing. So I watch either The Office or Schitt's Creek. Those are like the two shows.
So good.
It's just
so good.
Sometimes at the end of the day, I'm like, I just need to turn my mind off. And those two shows, I've watched them over and over and over again, but there's always something that I find that's new, and I just laugh. And I think it's such it's so nice to just fall asleep laughing. So.
I totally agree. And I love those two shows. I love Michael Scott as a character, and I'm obsessed with every character from Schitt's Creek. All of them for different reasons.
Yeah. My brother and sister-in-law turned me on to Schitt's Creek because when I was living in Paris, they were like, "Hey, we watched this show, and the daughter in it reminds us of you."
Alexis
so
is my a little bit Alexis when she performs that song with the thigh-high boots. Like one of the best TV moments of all time.
Yeah.
Okay, and then last question is, what do you sleep in?
So while we've talked about all of these like beautiful style moments and dresses and shoes, I'm actually a less is more person when I sleep. So I just kind of wear like a cotton pair of underwear, and that's it.
Okay.
To sleep. I kind of like to feel a little bit freer. Yeah. I've found like I've tried to wear tank tops, which sometimes are fine, but otherwise like it just kind of gets tangled and messy for me. So
I'm in like a t-shirt and a sweatshirt and either shorts or sweatpants, socks, and then they slowly come off in the night.
Okay.
Because the same thing, the t-shirt gets, but I never take the t-shirt off. I cannot. I must have a shirt on. Yeah, but anyway. Okay, so we have, like, I mean, I could talk to you for another hour easily, but I want everyone to know where to find you, where to find your studio and all of that stuff.
Okay.
So
the studio is Lagom Method, so it's Lagom Method that's on Instagram, and it's lagommethod.com, our website. And I am Meghan Elliot, so it's _ Meghan Elliot _
We'll put it in the show notes too. So yeah.
So that's kind of where you can find me right now.
And it's actually just one last thing is, you know, when you meet somebody and you just like, you could just talk. Remember the first time we met, we were standing in the front of the store, like talking for such a long time.
Yeah.
But we take an art class together. We are interested in like the same kind of spiritual, you know, Megan and I are in a bunch of classes together.
Yes,
and then I take her class. So yeah, it's just really nice to like meet people who are like, what is the word for it? Like kindred spirits or something.
Yeah, like soul sisters in a way. Yeah, absolutely. And it's so nice also to be able to like have so much to talk about. It's not just one thing. And thank you for having me on, because this has been such a treat to talk about fashion, which I don't really do so much these days. So thank you. This has been so nice.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.